Ah. Ah. Okay, hold on. Or not, hold on. XSplit, please. So the 15th, the film opens on the 15th, and a live action project with a 6-episode television miniseries. Don't forget to clip for YouTube. I mean, I gotta put the last ramble I did on YouTube. I'm not sure what you mean for right now. The film and series have the same staff and cast. Idol group members star in it. So you have, idols, right? It's Kanamori, Asakusa, Mizusaki. The wonderful cast. I mean, whoever's in the middle is not quite gremlin enough for my taste, but the actress playing Kanamori is doing it pretty spot on. So that's what matters to me most, because that's like the most. They're all recognizable characters. Asakusa and Kanamori probably the more so, because they're like super tall and super squatty. So as long as the lady playing Kanamori towers over the other two, then we're solid. Then we're A-okay. That's awesome though. Oh, I will try to find it. If they do have a way for us to watch the live action movie and also the series, I definitely will. I love the stories a lot. I mean, it's gonna just follow what already exists, I know, but at the same time, that gives me hope that it'll continue on. From what I know, Keep Your Hands Off Eizouken, I think, has 5 full volumes of its manga, and I think with the success of the anime, I see it going on for more seasons. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. I hope so. I freaking hope so. It deserves it. It's just super good. And so far, I mean, there's still 5 more episodes to go. It's still like my favorite anime of. Well, to me, it's the best anime of the year. I haven't watched any anime, so by default, no matter what, it's what it is, right? I know, like, even last week, I think there was like the Crunchyroll Anime Awards or whatever. And like anime of the year for that year was Demon Slayer. Everyone's going, oh my god, Demon Slayer. But I like, there's good contests for that where a lot of people were saying like Vinland Saga and Mob Psycho 100 were better overall. I know Demon Slayer's art style and the animation carried a lot. And that's always going to be a big factor with like anime, right? But people like reading comments of them saying like, "Oh man, don't worry. In terms of sales, One Piece is finally going to get dethroned by Kimetsu no Yaiba." I was just like, I look away from the computer when I read that, and I just like looked into the sky, thought about it for a second, and just laughed because, please, surpassing One Piece in total manga sales as like the biggest manga franchise, the biggest manga media in Japan, especially at this point, and the current arc, which is a little bit drawn out. I think it was really cool from the beginning, but it feels like it's a lot. But at the same time, why am I ranting about One Piece? That's not the ramble. I'm rambling about rambling. I'm sorry. I can't keep focused. All I do is think about things I shouldn't. That's my fault. Okay. Anyway, keep your hands off Eizouken episode 7. So, it was fun. It was fun because the episode was about, it had everybody, but it was about Mizusaki. And I'm happy to finally see one of the characters more fleshed out. I mean, in the sense of like their actions and how they are growing as characters teaches you a lot, but we never knew like any of the backstory. We didn't know where they came from, what they deal with their family. I know we saw it a little bit with Kanamori because they probably speak on her family the most, in the sense that they're both like famous models and actors. It's an acting family, right? And they, you can't do anime. Anime's illegal in this household, so don't do any of that. And you get like the idea from that of, again, Mizusaki's backstory being probably the most developed for the main cast, because of just the natural friction that there is with her and her parents for what she's looking to do, right? And I honestly, I was tearing up at a little bit of the beginning, seeing them, like seeing her. Okay, she's in her room just drawing, right? Her mom comes in, is like, you actually see more characters, especially the family members of one of the main characters you haven't really seen before. Where she just walks in, it's like, you're still awake? I gotta go to work. It's nighttime, by the way, so you can kind of see. It's kind of cliche in the sense of like, I have business parents in Japan or acting parents in Japan, so they're hands off, they're out and about, they have me free reign. But then you see young Mizusaki, and the opening scene before the actual opening itself, seeing Mizusaki as a little girl, and just like the show's so rooted in the character's passion, but seeing it, I guess we did see Asakusa in the beginning, right? We see where her passion for animation stemmed from. So now we're seeing the same from Mizusaki, and that's from the fact that I guess she was always artistically inclined at such a young age. Seeing her with her grandma and the whole aspect of like throwing the tea out of the cup, and she's a little girl, she's fascinated by it, right? And she tries to do it herself, she can't do it. She makes her grandma toss out tea over and over again, and her grandma obliges. And I thought that was adorable. And then it kind of moves on to her being a little bit older, and she's in her classes where I guess she's being trained to be a proper young lady / actress / model. And this is definitely probably about when she's maybe in elementary school, before she gets into high school, at that age. And you see her in class drawing and her skill of it, because she's drawing anatomy, and like she's watching people move in this modeling class, and she's taking inspiration of it. And like, okay, I like that, because it was like, hey, this character is involved early on with that kind of thing, and she just likes the animation of motion, right? She's seeing like how people are standing up, taking the drawing of that, how to properly walk, and I guess her class doesn't really stop her from drawing, and you kind of wonder where it's going with it, because it's okay, this character has like this ability or this early, and then when it took it back to the grandma, and you see Mizusaki like tossing the tea herself, like, I can do this, check this out, oh my god, I flung out everything and saw the liquid in motion. But then that's where it got real, because then it's grandma's getting older, and she's there saying, here, taking what she inferred from the modeling class and what she saw like on digital media or TV media, and applying that to help her grandma stand up on her own. Her grandma used to, shows that she uses a wheelchair, but through like the proper techniques that she learned, that Mizusaki learned, it was sweet seeing that and using it to like, hey grandma, do this and you'll be able to stand up. And she did. And she's like, here grandma, this is how you want to walk. If you do it like this, you'll be able to again. And it was so heartfelt in that. Like, you don't see that really, especially like in an anime or like a slice of life, and how like realistic it can be in that sense, because she's walking with her grandma down grandma's house and taking care of her like that. I'm just looking at it, I'm starting to tear up even now from how it is. And you kind of see, again, this is a character that animation's banned, her parents are really hands off, but she loves her grandma so much, right, that she helped her walk again. And I was like, damn. That opening scene sold that whole episode to me. Like, the fact that the grandma got up and was able to walk, there wasn't, because even the grandma said, like, she was like, if I do this, I'm gonna fall forward. She's like, no, trust me, you'll be able to do this. And she did it, and it was just like, I'm waiting for this show to drop the hammer. I'm waiting for it's gonna happen. Something really bad is gonna occur. Out of all the good things happening, there's definitely room for some kind of mess. And it wasn't there. It wasn't that. This is like, again, this is an optimistic positivity show, and I love it. There's always conflict, but it is just super sweet. So that was just the opening. That wasn't even like, that was just before the intro. And then they let the intro rock. And Easy Breeze is a great song. I'll jam to that at least once a day. And so then you get to the episode, and it's fun because it doesn't really advance their agenda too much. It's more of like, it's cool because, hey, here's more of just the process. I mean, I think at this point, the student council is still going to be a factor. The other clubs aren't so bad. Their reputation is whatever. But there's no one directly opposed to them right now. So it still kind of remains to be seen what really happens. The only kind of, I'll get into it later. I think the student conflict that I see happening, there is something there. But again, it's like, it's not like life or death yet. Or it's not between the main characters at the very least. So as a group of three, they really haven't gone into direct conflict with themselves. If that's anything, it's always going to be an outside force, more than likely. So, it just goes to show kind of like, hey, here's the girls again, doing their thing. They got all the sound files from the sound club, and they're using it to, they're going over the library. You have your new character, who honestly, I misgendered. I thought she was a guy from the beginning, but it turns out the sound club member, female. That's cool. Very what's the word I'm looking for? I'm so dumb. Yeah. So we get the new character, and you kind of have a small dynamic now that it's a group of four, where it's still the sound club in her side room, but she also has, creative input. They have a sound meeting where they all get together and they kind of go over some stuff and saying, hey, we want to get the audio right. There you go, androgynous, you got it. I knew it started with an A, and I was just like, how do I not know this? And I was going to say something else, but yeah. But it's cool. Like, you get a meeting, and they're again, this is a show that is entertaining but teaches you, and they're just kind of going over how sound really is a huge part of anime. So it kind of goes hand in hand, but it's more of showing Mizusaki and her outlook of it, because she wants the animation to be like the forefront of it. She wants that to be the defining part of the show, of what they're making. But sound and visuals go hand in hand to really make it what it is. And I was stressing that point. She's like, I don't want to admit it, but you're right. That plays a huge part of it. So they're trying to go through their deadlines. They have what probably is, to me, and what I mentioned with conflict, is what's going to be it. And that was the scene where the art club comes in. So the art club makes it through with the backgrounds they were working on, and they're talented. Like, homeboy is talented. Dude with the glasses, super good. But he took creative freedoms with what they wanted. He brought back their works, and immediately you see Asakusa sweating. Asakusa just like sweating it out, like not liking it all, and like trying her best to describe it without like going off, making a concerted effort not to just be like, buddy, guy, I hate it. No, she's like, hey, I want, the lighting here doesn't work because it messes up the shot. The car here is supposed to be that, and she's like, nitpicking, and then Mizusaki is just like laughing, and she's like, this stuff that's not gonna work. The guy's like, direct about it, and he's like, I can't have creative freedom. Is it not good enough? It's not gonna work out. And Asakusa's doing her best not to say it. Mizusaki like goes in, like, she's like, this ain't gonna work. Try better next time, dude. This sucks. Or it's not good enough. And the other girl in the art club, Kubo, the girl in the art club, she looks at him and she's like, hey, I'll fix it. And the guy's like, wait, what? No. And she's like, no, I'll take care of it. Sorry about that. Because she feels distress, and she sees it too. She sees what mistakes were made, right? So they leave, and like, Kanamori is just like, well, her being like, I like that Kubo girl. And they make it a point not to say the guy's name, but they really don't like him. So this is going to be a big factor, I think, in a future episode, because they did, it's going to hurt, I think, reputation with the other clubs through this. So I'm interested to see how that plays out. But, it ends up saying that Asakusa decides to do all the corrections on the backgrounds, and I thought that was like, okay, taking on a bigger workload. And I thought, okay, well, she can handle it. But Kanamori's starting to get like, no, you're the director. It's like, you need to be focusing on your duties here and managing other people, because you need to take care of 3 things and helping out, and not have your own giant workload. Mizusaki's on her side. Like, if you do it yourself, it's faster. You know what you want, so I mean, you should just leave it at that. But Kanamori is just, we're gonna get deadlines. We need to work on this. We're not gonna get this finished working on it like that. And it's true though. There is truth to that. There's truth to both sides, right? There's truth to both sides. That's always a big thing. And then like, you get the next day where they're in the, I don't remember what came first. Was it with the sound or no? It wasn't with the sound. It was like, in school, and you actually see that kind of the class, and you see Asakusa or Mizusaki being a hard worker as she is. And then like, I guess it starts raining, and you have just the girls being able to go out and do something because they have to, everyone has to leave the school. Torrential downpour, get out. They get caught in the rain, they go to the bathhouse, and it's just like a bathhouse scene. It was fun, it was just cute. because again, the character just kind of interacting, and you kind of what I liked about that was it was goofy because it was fun. It was a way that, what do you call it? It was a bathhouse scene in an anime without being like sexy. It's something that like it's just high school girls spending time together in a different setting without there being fan service or anything of that nature, which, you know, I like that because it's atypical of most anime. So, you know, that is something that, again, I appreciate with what this show really does on its own and how it differentiates itself from a lot of other animated media, right? And even like it puts in the character of the show in it of itself as well in there, so they managed to make that really fun because they have like you see the whole aspect of the water being thrown, because one, again, Mizusaki is kind of clueless. She's a rich girl. She's clueless to a lot of things, to bathhouses and public spaces, and even like, you know, bathing as a group, right? And I thought it was just funny. It was funny like that. Oh, my closet's open. I should close that. Sorry. Anyway, it was funny to see, like, again, like, and she's like taking a stride because she really likes seeing new things and stuff like that. So, you see the whole bucket of water. I love that part. Kanamori just like throws water at Asakusa, who's bragging about being frugal with water when it's like, isn't Kanamori supposed to be the frugal one? And then Mizusaki just falls in love with it, and she's like, throw the water again. Do it again. Do it again. I'm like, I swear to God, Asakusa should have drowned in that scene for that joke, because how often her face was just like, she was getting drowned in water, only because like Mizusaki has this thing for water being tossed. It's like an art form to her. She just loves it. It was goofy. It was such a fun goofiness to it, right? You know, then the scene ends. They all get ready to go home, and they're all talking a little bit more about Mizusaki. You know, they eat crawfish. There's some fun animations that go along with it. So it kind of has just the trademark like Eizouken goofiness, but it's without trying to teach you really. So you see them just kind of having fun. You know, Asakusa, you know, them playing in the bathhouse and their creativity shining. You know, Kanamori just kind of being there because she's not the same mindset as them when it comes to that kind of stuff. And then just like the whole like little paddle boat that Asakusa imagines, things like that. It's really fun. You know, making normal like situations like that an Eizouken situation. That was cool. But then you see, like, you know, Mizusaki, like, yeah, my parents have a lot of freedom. You know, my dad wants me to be an actress because it'll fulfill my mom's dream. My mom just lets me do whatever, really. The only real rule is no anime. And you hear it from her, and she's just like, I'm a grandma's girl. I'm like, yeah. You know, it's nice that they acknowledge that, because it's true, right? She's a grandma's girl. She was, like, hanging out with her grandma early on. It probably took a lot, you know, that was probably her real parent in the sense of being raised and like the principles. And I think that'll be important, really important going forward. And then, you know, the scene I really liked then was afterwards, where they have, you see them developing the anime, and Mizusaki like aggravated. She's aggravated because she can't get a chainsaw working. So one little problem. I want this chainsaw to animate well. I want it to animate a certain way. And, you know, she gets Asakusa over, who looks at it, gives her some suggestions. And I love the fact that, like, it was so good. Where Asakusa's like, hey, Kanamori, come here. Please. And she's like, what? Kanamori's like, what do you think getting me over there is gonna do? How do you think I'm gonna be able to help you at all? And she's like, well, you're a producer, and a producer is supposed to have a discerning eye when it comes to the things we work on. And Kanamori is like, okay, yeah. And the look on Asakusa's face, even there, and they made a note of it too, because literally the first time, apparently, that Asakusa won an argument with Kanamori that made a point that was logical enough that Kanamori's like, okay, I agree with you, sure. And it was just like, when you realize you won your first argument with Kanamori. It takes a second, and she made a note of it, like mental note, big time. And Kanamori is like, it looks good as it is. Just add sound to it. You know, they add sound, they're viewing it, and then it starts the Eizouken, my favorite scenes. The Eizouken-ness of it starts happening, where you start. Mizusaki just goes off. She goes off on her own ramble, and I appreciate that. A good ramble of that nature, where usually you see it being Asakusa kind of going off on everything, but she's just going on her principles of why she likes to do animation, what she strives for as an animator, and she does so in describing, like, in her sense, her way was a rocket. She's like, here's a rocket. You know, by itself, it's a rocket. No one likes a rocket for being a rocket. Kind of, Asakusa's like, wait, no, I love him. Like, whatever. And she's just like describing the process of it. And she's just like, people make things like this. People are working on all these amazing things and animating so much cool stuff. There's a person behind all this animation that they are putting out this work that they hope people appreciate the subtle animations and things. And I love that, because it opened up with her saying, like, yes, even something as simple in animation that's very subtle makes a big difference. And they did that with having, like, her hair flow. So I just, my favorite thing that this show does, the best thing this show does, is literally like taking the concepts and expressing them at the same time. So her hair flowing, subtle, but it adds more so much more character to that. And then she starts going off about the rocket firing, because, you know, there's so many pieces to make it really come alive that it's not really aiming for realism, but there's so much details that can be put out. And they were showing, like, hey, here's the rocket firing off into space, here's the puffs of smoke and the fire from the engines during countdown, the things breaking off as it flies to the sky with the fire, and the smoke keeps coming out, and all these pieces coming together, even like at an angle when the rocket flies into the sky, really develops character. And when an animator really hits those notes, it's perfect. It's art. It's pure, beautiful perfection when they get that worked on. And she was just super stoked about explaining that. And she's just like, my love of art, it's not from making something that people are just gonna love. It's not just gonna be about the enjoyment. It's about putting together such an amazing animation that when you look at it, she wants it to be good for herself. She wants to look at it herself and be proud, and that's what she's always been about. She's, in a sense, as a character throughout the whole series, has a very strict standard of what she wants animation. She wants all the cuts to be in. She wants all the things to be filled, and she doesn't want to do shortcuts. If she could animate the whole thing herself, she would, because she just wants to see things get the treatment they deserve. She wants everything to be as perfect as possible. And, you know, we saw that again. She had to make a compromise, and she hated making a compromise early on. But that's just how it goes. Sometimes you have to cut quarters if you have a deadline. And like Kanamori's like, okay, so you're the type to want to make something, to have it, you're not about making people smile. And she's, I love that little interaction where Mizusaki's like, well, should I just said I just want to make people laugh, and Kanamori's like, that would even be worse. That's even worse. And you see more of Kanamori's character, because even she understands. She's like, yeah, okay, I see your character, Kanamori. I understand how you are a little bit. Okay. And yeah, that was pretty much all the episode. It was fun because it was like a nice dive into Mizusaki and her like unending optimism. And I think only thing I really want is I want a GIF. There's the one part in the show that I love the most for this episode. It was Kanamori working in the computer room, putting the cuts together and producing it. And you just see the director, Asakusa, over there, like behind her, saying, hey, she's like, do this. And Kanamori just turns to her. She snaps, like, no, stop. And Asakusa like takes a step back. It's like, but what about this? And Kanamori again just. And all the way on the edge of the screen, Asakusa's like, hey, but what about? And then Kanamori just gives the most brutal face, but just a side profile that she did the entire time, where she's just. I guess it'll be more accurate like this. And Asakusa just freaks out and runs off. And I was like, oh my god. There was plenty of really good Asakusa faces, but that was definitely, that was 100% the best little no dialogue scene. It's just the girls interact together so well. It's fun. Even them like messing with the Sound Club member and like all of her files, and how she's, I guess, OCD. How I wouldn't say that. She's very, very, very particular about her media that she has for all the music and sounds. But that was good. That was a fun episode. Again, it was not so much driving the story forward as it was developing one of the characters. And so now we know a bit more about Mizusaki, where we know a lot about Asakusa. So now really what's next is Kanamori, who's still a mystery wrapped in a puzzle, buried under a sphinx, all in the city of confusion. So I'm wondering to see how it goes. So we'll see. But good episode. Episode 8 should be really fun, because now we're going to see how progress is on their movie and what else is going to come up from the painting club. So who knows? I don't know where it's going to go unless Mizusaki's family. Well, I said it last time. Mizusaki's family is eventually going to find out that she's into animation. Word's going to spread, or someone's going to blackmail her, which might be happening eventually. Oh, I guess I didn't mention the dubbing scene where they were working with the Robot Club and getting the audio, and they were being good directors in terms of that, and like trying to get things going. But like that dude, the main robot otaku, ad-libbing, being louder than everybody else, doing sound effects himself. It's like, hey, that's our shtick. You can't just do sound effects like that. You can't just be goofy and do the job for us. All right, chill out with that. That's the Eizouken thing. You can't just do the sound effects, okay, buddy? Get your own material. That was good. that was a fun scene there, but it's nice because like the robot club were, working with them in a sense of they weren't pushing back. They were like, yeah, you're right, and like, yeah, we can mix this, each person's levels individually, and like maybe do this guy's lines by himself because he's just too into it, which is good and bad, right? And that was fun. Hey Peachy, hello, hi, welcome. You just came in for the tail end of the ramble about episode 7. Keep your hands off Eizouken. It was good. Again, there's only 4 episodes left. Let me see. 8, 9, no, 5. 8 through 12, so still a lot to go. I don't think there's going to be another arc. I think the robot movie is going to last until the end. So episode 12 is either going to be heavy conflict with whatever they decide to throw out, or it's going to be the debut of the movie. But maybe I mean, at this point, with how things are turning, I feel like their movie at the Culture Festival is going to be successful, but it's going to result in Mizusaki getting found out, and so she gets removed from Eizouken, and it's going to end on that. You should. It's a great show. I love it a lot. And it's only 7 episodes, so it's not too much at the very least. But it is wonderful. As an artist, you may like it. I can't say you will, but it's cute. It's fun. The characters are great. You know, I don't see any missteps. You know, we'll see. There's still plenty of episodes to go. It has yet to sour my mood. It has yet to let me down. So I am exactly excited to see where it leads to, because this movie looks like it's going to be even more ridiculous than the last one, because they got like 3D design going on for the robot. They're going all out with animation. The sound effects are going to make it even better. Like I can see the showing blowing everyone off their feet, making it just ridiculous with how it plays out, because those girls are fucking talented. And the show itself is just super good at conveying the messages and teaching, because this was just straight up animation episode. There was some sound involved, but like when it got into kind of like the principles of what an animator, like the inspiration, which to me like is something that speaks to the creator of Eizouken. I think it's really descriptive of what the creator feels and wants to convey, and they do that through all 3 girls, but in this one specifically Mizusaki, the short-haired rich girl. But yeah, so I mean, Maki, I know you watched it. You had any thoughts yourself on what we had seen the last episode? I know I covered a lot of it, and there wasn't a lot of stuff to take away outside of just character development, to be honest, but there was some fun stuff. Let me mark this so I can get this stuff on YouTube, because I don't have episode 2 of Raph's Rambles up yet. Episode 3, I should probably do both. I mean, they're both not too long. This one a little bit shorter because it's a single episode, so it'll be a lot more manageable to get them all cut and put on YouTube, I think. I still have a special one-shot. Again, I mean, even though I watched the episode and then I decided I'm going to take a shower, I'm going to sit on it. I wasn't really thinking about it, but speaking on it and like starting from the beginning, it just starts playing in my mind. And I'm able to go over all the little things and you know, see them. And I surprise myself, honestly, that I'm able to like recap things and speak on things and comment on stuff, because I think my memory is kind of bad. but I guess you kickstart it, like you start revving it up when you're talking things, and it's like when you sing a song. You might not be able to sing a song from the middle, but if you start from the beginning, your brain is processing it, and it kickstarts your brain process and your memory, and then you're able to know your lyrics. But, you know, it's funny like that. Yeah, I think so. Good how they came together. And honestly, the early Resistance was something there, but at the same time, they moved some of her tapes. They spent the beginning of it starting to move some of her things. They have 4 rooms worth of media. So they already were moving some of the sound stuff over, but they hadn't finished it yet. So that was a part of the beginning of the episode. And they had even referenced it a little bit in the middle. But I think this girl is just happy to have another space of her own without the friction from it. She basically got saved from the student council. So she might relate more and be more amicable with the Eizouken club because they're helping her out big time. They're enabling her. And remember, Asakusa and her, they see eye to eye in them within each other, right? And how their personalities are. So I think they end up being good friends because of that. Yeah, that's a good point. Kubo, the art girl, having more of an impact, but she kind of right now is just like the mediator between the artist and the Eizouken, and she's doing her best to kind of keep tempers down because she see her freaking out, like she don't want this guy going off or really feeling too bad about his art. But a lot of the digital is done, well, post-processing is all done by Kanamori. We'll see what happens, because they'll bring Kubo back around. But again, that's going to be a continued conflict going forward. I don't know if the Robot Club's going to get, there could something happen with the Robot Club that makes them not maybe want to be part of this anymore. Who knows? There's still a lot to go through. Yeah, again, it's a lot of ways it can play out, but there definitely is going to be more conflict with Mizusaki and her perfectionist, her full-on animation. We'll see if they just continue to go that route and just be like, hey, oh look, oops. If they continue to let her have free reign of just draw, because as the deadline nears, it's party time. Kanamori's going to take over as producer and say, we got only so much time, here's what we got to do.